This broadcast is brought to you by the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, Tip Friendly Society, LMH Publishing, Wisynco Group, Digicel, Nutrition Products Limited, and Mystic Mountain, Jamaica.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Interex Distributors presents the ultimate tile clearance sale. Transform your space for less. Dunrobin Plaza, 30 Dunrobin Avenue. The temperature by Interex Distributors is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Shalois Michael.
In Nationwide News at this hour, tasty patties increase by $20.
William Knibb High School student with cerebral palsy granted special allowance to write her external exams.
We'll use a computer and all the protocols for CXC in terms of ensuring that she's properly quarantined to ensure that there's integrity in the exams will be observed at school.
Sissoko says young children are being groomed and exploited by predators they meet on social media platforms.
We even have 10-year-olds involved in sexual situations because of the social media platform.
Tourism Ministry working to ensure minimal impact from the closure of Spirit Airlines.
14-year-old Morant Bay High School student drowns at Reggae Falls.
In news from the rest of the world, Costa Rica's top newspaper says U.S. revoked visas of its executives, prompting press freedom concerns.
UAE accuses Iran of renewed drone and missile attacks.
In headline sports, 2 former national players among 4 applicants for the job as Jamaica's national senior football team coach.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, a student of William Knibb High with a cerebral palsy has been granted a special device allowance to write her external exams. How do regional examination bodies accommodate students with disabilities? CXC's Registrar and CEO Dr. Wayne Wesley, Deputy Executive Director of the Overseas Examination Commission, Sharon Burnett, and Principal of William Knibb High, Linvern Wright, will join us.
In the nation's business at 6:25, lawyers are calling for the legislators to remove the 15-year mandatory minimum sentence under the Firearms Act. We'll hear from attorneys Bert Samuels and Matthew Hyatt.
And at 7, it's the comments section with Shalois Michael and Mahiri Stewart. This evening, they're asking, how are you coping with increased food prices? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM. All these and more as we take you home on air, Nationwide 90FM. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, May 4, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The country's second largest patty manufacturer, Tasty, has announced a price increase effective today. The increase is $20 across the board. A representative of Tasty's speaking with Nationwide News confirmed that the standard beef patty will now cost $320. That's up from $300. Chicken patties will similarly cost $350, up from $330. A cheese patty will now cost $400, up from $380. The price adjustment is the result of rising input costs brought on by a number of variables. These include fuel and energy prices, government revenue measures, and the general effects of inflation. Nationwide News attempted to contact other leading patty outlets such as Juicy and Mother's, but was unable to confirm if their prices had been altered. The increase comes at a time that other manufacturers of food items, such as non-alcoholic sweetened beverages, have similarly increased their prices. This puts additional pressure on consumers for their basic day-to-day needs.
A student of William Knibb High School with cerebral palsy has been granted a special device allowance to write her external exams. The student is set to sit her first exam Tuesday morning. Dana Davey reports.
Concerns were raised by a family member of the student on Nationwide this morning on Monday. According to one of the child's relatives, Rashana Jarrett, the student has been accommodated over the 5 years of her secondary education by allowing her to use a device to write her exams. Jarrett says when the student entered grade 10, the family sought to have a relative assist the child during the exams. However, the request was not granted due to CXC's policy. The relative says special assessment accommodations were instead granted in the form of a reader-writer.
We had an arrangement in place which was changed at the last minute, and we had to get a new scribe for her because what they advised is that she would need a scribe to do the exam. We hustled, got a new scribe, and they accepted the person, and she's been working with her for the last few weeks in terms of trying to understand her speech. There's some letters in the alphabet that she does not pronounce at all, and so it's very, very hard to understand when she speaks.
In light of this, Jarrett says her relative would stand a better chance by using a device. In response, Principal of William Knibb High, Linvern Wright, says protocols are already in place to accommodate the student.
As it stands, she will use a computer, and all the protocols for CXC in terms of ensuring that she's properly quarantined to ensure that there's integrity in the exams will be observed at school. But CXC has those protocols in place, and we have worked them out.
In addition to a separate room, CXC has also allowed the student to be given extra time to complete her exams. Following the update, Jarrett says the student is in good spirits and prepared for Tuesday's exams.
The Overseas Examination Council also reached out to Mommy regarding the situation, and they just wanted to verify that we were okay with the provisions that were put in place for her. And I also went to visit, and she's in good spirits. We've been shielding her from a lot of what is happening behind the scenes, and she's prepared and she's in good spirits, and she's very appreciative of the outreach and the support that has been given to her post the interview this morning.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
More children as young as 10 are being groomed and exploited by predators they meet on social media platforms. The alarming disclosure was revealed by the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, or CISOCA, during the latest episode of the JCF's Force for Good podcast on Sunday. Shalois Michael reports.
According to CISOCA, the crimes committed in the digital space are often twofold. They can either occur entirely online or begin there before victims actually meet the perpetrators in person. Senior Investigating Officer at CISOCA, Detective Inspector Debbie Jennings, says children as young as 10 are falling victims to these crimes.
It's trending now where almost every child has a gadget. And oftentimes the report is, we met on social media, speak for a few, have few conversations. Boy like girl, they meet at a location. They're just so excited to meet. They meet at a location, and from there, they will go to somewhere else. Maybe meet a few times, and then they find themselves in problems. We even have 10-year-olds involved in sexual situations because of the social media platform.
Her colleague, Quality Assurance Officer Inspector Cherise Johnson, says the digital space has also made it more difficult to find the perpetrators.
When we try to do an investigation, it is taken down. And so it is hard for us to really find that person. And so we will oftentimes have to liaison with CFCD to help us to find the perpetrator.
She's urging parents and guardians to pay closer attention to their children's online interactions.
proper guidance towards the children. Because a lot of persons give their children what they want. So they need tablets, they need telephone, they give it to them, but they don't really manage it. They don't really ensure that your children or child is on a platform that needs supervision. They don't supervise the gadgets that they give to their children.
You can report suspected child abuse or exploitation to CISOCA at 876-926-4079. You may also contact the 24-hour hotline at 211, Crime Stop at 311, or the police at 119. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the sector is actively working to ensure minimal impact from the closure of Florida-based budget carrier Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines recently announced its closure after 34 years in operation. The airline advised that all its flights have been cancelled and that customer service operations are no longer available. In response, Bartlett says the ministry is coordinating logistics with local and international stakeholders to minimize the disruption to Jamaica.
The impact on us, we are evaluating on the basis of the flights per week that come into our two airports, recognizing that the rotations are limited to 3 flights and that the next flight out of Montego Bay would be on Tuesday. We have, in fact, had conversation with our tourism partners to cooperate as fully as possible to enable those passengers who are still on island to have a speedy and seamless repatriation to their destination.
Minister Bartlett says other airline partners have begun accommodating displaced passengers.
The Jamaica Tourist Board and our tourism partners are also working to ensure that the fallout from Spirit in terms of air seat capacity will be treated with swiftly, and that the other airlines that serve the gateways, and particularly the Fort Lauderdale gateway, which is the main gateway for Spirit to Jamaica, will pick up the slack, as we think that the volume of business from Spirit to us is at the level where it can be absorbed reasonably quickly and seamlessly by our existing partners serving from that gateway.
Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism.
Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake is commending members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, for what he says are their continued efforts in executing targeted operations aimed at keeping the country's murder rate on a downward trajectory. In his latest weekly column published on Monday, Dr. Blake points to a series of high-impact policing measures carried out across the island. He says the JCF executed over 9,000 national coordinated roadblocks and issued more than 250,000 traffic tickets. Commissioner Blake adds that more than 8,000 people were arrested. More than 10% of them, he says, were nabbed for major crimes, including shootings and murders. Dr. Blake says the figures reflect a coordinated and disciplined approach to policing, underscoring the role of sustained operational pressure in disrupting criminal activity. In recent months, the JCF has intensified its focus on intelligence-led operations, increased road policing, and targeted interventions as part of its broader strategy to reduce major crimes and improve public safety.
Meanwhile, Dr. Blake is urging Jamaicans to help reduce violent confrontations as he emphasizes de-escalation in policing. In his latest weekly column, Dr. Blake raised concern about recent incidents that have led to loss of life, noting that too many encounters are ending in violence. He stressed that the Jamaica Constabulary Force's primary objective in any confrontation is to reduce tension and avoid escalation. The Commissioner is also appealing to citizens to play their part, calling on Jamaicans to encourage individuals, particularly those engaged in criminal activity, not to confront police with deadly force. Dr. Blake made it clear that fatal outcomes are not the goal of police operations, stating that deadly shootings do not benefit anyone and are never the desired end result. At the same time, he underscored the importance of discipline within the force, insisting that police must act within established use of force guidelines and exercise self-control at all times. Commissioner Blake says the JCF will continue to prioritize de-escalation, professionalism, and adherence to the rule of law as part of its strategy to reduce violent crime and protect lives. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
5:14.
It's the Answers Amazing Sale. Get 50% off everything when you shop at Answers Gifts and Home and Answers for Children. It's the Answers Amazing Sale. Now until Saturday, May 9, 2026.
Continuing the news, a 14-year-old student from the Morant Bay High School in St. Thomas is dead following a drowning incident at Reggae Falls in the parish on Sunday. The deceased has been identified as Romario Hyman of Wyatt Scheme in Seaforth. The incident occurred sometime after 12 noon. Commanding officer for the St. Thomas Police Division, Deputy Superintendent Rohan Ritchie, gave the details.
He had gone to the Reggae Falls in the company of his mother, and whilst there, she was in the general vicinity, but not exactly where he was, and he was seated on a stone somewhere there in the river. And somehow when she returned, he was not there, and persons started looking for him, and an expert swimmer and diver at the location was able to make some checks underwater, and he was found subsequently submerged. It's unfortunate, but those things do happen, especially when you go to an environment and you're not really adept at what it takes to stay afloat in terms of swimming.
DSP Ritchie is urging citizens to proceed with caution when enjoying these attractions.
Sometimes persons believe that they are good swimmers and they can manage the waves or manage the water or manage the stream and the flow of the currents and so forth. But out of an abundance of caution, stay in an area where you can manage. Stay in an area if you know you're not too adept at swimming. Stay in an area where you know you can at least stand up if you feel as if you're overwhelmed. One of those things, I've had a number of drownings right across the country at different locations where people gather for fun and frolic. But out of an abundance of caution, people must, actually stay within their limits. I don't know the circumstances that would have caused his actual demise, but based upon information and investigation carried out thus far, he drowned.
DSP Rohan Ritchie, commanding officer for the St. Thomas Police Division.
Jamaicans who have abandoned barrels at the nation's ports are being urged to act quickly or risk forfeiting them to the state. Chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica, Professor Gordon Shirley, says steps are being taken to ease congestion at the various warehousing facilities caused by unclaimed container loads taking up valuable space. He gave the update during last week's meeting of the Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
Hurricane Melissa caused severe disruption at the nation's shipping ports in the weeks following the system. But according to Professor Gordon Shirley, the real challenge has been unclaimed goods and relief supplies, which are taking up critical warehouse space. The chairman of the Port Authority of Jamaica says due to misinterpretation of government pronouncements, many Jamaicans assume that mixing normal goods with relief supplies would result in the entirety of their shipments being free of customs charges.
What is rational, some persons would have put their relief cargo on top of the normal household cargo. And I think aside from the increased volume, there was some confusion because the government announced that some goods would receive waivers as a result of the relief effort. And I think that maybe some people who were sending barrels felt that if some of those goods were in the barrel, that means the barrel would get exemption. And when customs said no, it created some of a problem.
This has resulted in severe congestion for consolidated containers, which are made up of individual barrels and other goods usually destined for personal use. To address this, Professor Shirley says goods left unattended for a lengthy period of time will be transferred to what is known as the King's Warehouse for long-term storage and eventually forfeited to public auction. To encourage customers to claim their items, normal fees and duties will be waived along with demurrage discounts.
Aside from extending the hours and expanding the available storage for those, Chair, because we don't know which ones are abandoned and which ones are not abandoned. So the effort to try to deal with the surge was, first wave was to extend the opening hours to allow people to come, give them a longer space and to create more storage space for it. But there are also waivers of the customs duty and tax waivers. All fees, storage fees were waived, Chairman, and the Port Authority worked to provide discounts for the demurrage.
However, Professor Shirley stressed that the backlog and congestion applies only to consolidated containers. He says it's been business as usual for what are known as full containers that are normally used for commercial transshipment operations.
We don't have a problem and did not have a problem with full container load cargo at any point, sir. The congestion that exists relates to less than full container loads. What accounts for the backlog or congestion, and what it indicates there, the slides aren't numbered. What the slide indicates, Chairman, is that the issue in the warehouses was caused by a confluence of factors, one of which was the impact of the hurricane.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The U.S. has revoked the visas of several board executives at one of Costa Rica's leading media outlets, La Nación. The move has triggered fresh accusations that the country is stripping visas to punish critics and political opponents. In a statement on Sunday, the board of directors said the affected members first learned they had been stripped of their visas from reports in pro-government media. La Nación has long been a thorn in the side of outgoing Costa Rican President Rodrigo Chavez, a long ally of U.S. President Donald Trump. The newspaper says the U.S. gave no reason for the visa revocations.
A large fire broke out at a key oil port in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, after it was hit by a drone attack from Iran. Officials say 3 Indian nationals were injured in the strike. It came after the UAE Defense Ministry said it had intercepted 3 missiles launched from Iran, with a 4th falling into the sea. The UAE called the attacks a dangerous escalation of the ongoing war. But Iran called the claims entirely false, and its military said it fired warning shots at a U.S. warship. The rising tensions come as the U.S. said Navy destroyers and U.S.-flagged merchant ships sailed through the Strait of Hormuz on Monday.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, tasty patties increase by $20.
William Knibb High School student with cerebral palsy granted special allowance to write her external exams.
Sissoko says young children are being groomed and exploited by predators they meet on social media platforms. I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Shalois Michael.
Join the Nationwide Family Club at patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. News next, the headlines at 6.
Merle Grove High School on May 15, it's your time. The NNN School Tour 2026 is bringing energy, talent, and excitement straight to your school.
So pull up your pants and put it on your waist and
we're pulling up to highlight student talent and creativity while bringing the fun with games, exciting prizes, and live performances you won't want to miss.
Missing.
It's all going down on May 15 from 1 to 4 p.m. at Merle Grove High School. Don't miss the vibes, the fun, and your chance to shine. See you there. This broadcast is brought to you by the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, Tip Friendly Society, LMH Publishing, Wisynco Group, Digicel, Nutrition Products Limited, and Mystic Mountain, Jamaica.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with news on football. Former national players Michael Johnson and Darren Moore are among 4 candidates who have already applied for the post of head coach of the Jamaica national senior men's football team. Johnson, a central defender, played 13 times for Jamaica, including at the 2000 and 2003 CONCACAF Gold Cup, and he was also a head coach for the Guyana national team between 2018 and 2019. Moore won 2 caps for Jamaica between 1999 and 2000 and was also caretaker manager for West Bromwich Albion while they were in the English Premier League at one stage. The other 2 candidates who have applied so far, that's of course Michael Coley, who stood as interim assistant coach to Roller Speed in the Interconfederation World Cup playoff. Speed has also applied for the job as well, and those 2 games were against New Caledonia, of course, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The appointment of the long-term head coach will be in the summer or closer to that, as a technical committee has asked the board of the Jamaica Football Federation for more time for the applicants to submit their interest in the job. The board will instead have an emergency meeting on Tuesday at the JFF offices to consider a recommendation from the technical committee to make Speed head coach until at least the end of June.
The technical committee has made a recommendation for a short-term contract which would take us to the middle of June, so that we can make a coach available between now and then, of course, including the Unity Cup. We're working on a practice game, tentatively that is set for June 4. We've been talking to maybe 2 or 3 possible candidates. So tomorrow we will get some confirmation or try to get a majority on who would recommend for the short term.
And of course, the JFF president, Michael Ricketts, who told Nationwide Sports on Monday that if the board accepts the recommendation of the technical committee, then Speed will have no assistant coach to go at the Unity Cup and the international friendly that he spoke about, because they're trying to cut back on expenses. In the meantime, the national senior team could face either the Asian Giants, Iran or Spain in that friendly game that Ricketts mentioned on June 4. Ricketts says the federation has been in talks with Iran and be Iran.
We're speaking with Spain, we're speaking with Iran, and there are 2 other countries that would have given an indication that they may be interested, but we haven't gone very far with those. Spain, we may have a challenge with Spain because they did indicate that they're also speaking with another country. But Iran, we're still speaking with Iran. So I believe that if it's not Spain, it could very well be Iran.
That's Michael Ricketts, president of the Jamaica Football Federation. Former champions Manchester City, they dropped crucial points in their title chase for the English Premier League after coming from 3-1 down to earn a 3-3 draw with Everton in a thrilling Monday night game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. The Belgian international Jeremy Doku scored 2 stunning goals for City, including the equalizer with literally the last kick of the game, 8 minutes into added time.
Doku, brilliant! That is absolutely sensational from Doku. He bent one in with his left foot in the first half. He's bent one in with his right foot in stoppage time in the second half, and he just may have reignited Manchester City's Premier League title hopes.
And of course, a French international, Tierna Barry, was also on target twice for Everton. Now City are on 71 points. They're 5 behind the leaders, Arsenal, who have played a game more. Meanwhile, Chelsea's season continues to spiral. They were beaten 3-1 by Nottingham Forest at home to be 9th in the table. And at the moment, they are in danger of missing out on Europe altogether. Coach of local Premier League outfit Harbourview, Lenny Hyde, says he has the tools at the club to beat the drop on the final day of regular season in the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League, and that will be on Wednesday. The Stars of the East are currently occupying the last relegation spot in the 14-team league and could join Spanish Town Police in the nation's second tier next season if they fail to beat champions Cavalier at Stadium East on Wednesday. Cavalier are in 5th at the moment. They've got 58 points, but they may still need those points against the Harbourview, as there's still a chance they could finish outside of the top 6, where they'll not be involved in the playoff. A victory for Cavalier may still not be enough for Harbourview. That's a victory over Cavalier may not be enough for Harbourview in the end, because if Malines, with whom they are tied on points, go down to St. Elizabeth Technical and beat Treasure Beach, then Malines will be in. And so the question now is, how will Harbourview beat the drop on Wednesday?
We put ourselves where we are now, so we have to try and take us out of this situation. I know the quality that we have in the team, the art and the determination that we have. So at any given day, if they come with that mentality and that desire, they will perform well. And I think they did that. Maybe it's a situation they have to step up, or else our season will be over today. So we live to fight another day again, another tough game on Wednesday. So we only have 2 days to prepare for it. So we just have to go and deal it with the best of our ability.
Lenny Teacher Hyde, coach of Harbourview. It's literally a straight fight between Harbourview and Malines as to who will go down on Wednesday. And the Malines coach, Jermaine Thomas, says he thought his players lacked the cutting edge in front of goal when they lost that crucial game to Harbourview on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely a tough one. One of them games you do not want to lose, but if you're not going to score easy, simple chances, then it's hard to put you out in the ring. And definitely, just like you're at home today, and you saw we played, especially in the first half, we created some good opportunities, clear opportunities. We miss from inside, the 6-yard box. When you miss goals like those, sometimes ball can be really, really dreadful, and you sometimes pay for it.
That's Jermaine Thomas, he's coach of Malines United. And all games on Wednesday will be played simultaneously. All will start at 3:30. And finally in sports at this time, former Canadian sprinter and past Olympic champion Donovan Bailey explained that he's hopeful that the Jamaican sprinter Elaine Thompson-Hero is in good physical condition following her ankle leg that powered Jamaica to victory in the women's 4x100 meters relay at the World Relays in Botswana, which ended on Sunday. The quartet of Brianna Williams, Jodine Williams, Lavania Williams and Thompson-Hero sped to 42 seconds on the nose, but it was Thompson-Hero's slight grimace at the end of the race that raised eyebrows, leading to questions as to whether she picked up an injury.
I hope to God it's not a tendon issue. I mean, for someone who's blown to Achilles, I hope to God it's not a tendon issue, because again, just like you said, man, old Elaine is back, man. I'm like, you got the baton and she was down. And I mean, for me, all I saw was, the next 5 steps, the extension and what I saw in 10-5 Elaine. You know what I mean? Because she snapped just like that, right? I read her lip. When she got across the line, she said, I'm injured. Like the girl, I mean, I don't remember her other teammate came up and said so, but she voiced, I am injured.
Yeah, that's Don Bailey, the former Olympic champion, world record holder. He's got a lot more to say, but we'll be bringing that to you in our next sportscast, which will come your way at 6:05 this evening. Alric Swaby will have that one for you.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
Transgem Highways is having a 50% Mother's Day discount on T-Tag packages. Get yours from the teller at the toll booth for only $1,250, including a $500 toll credit from May 4 to May 30, 2026. When you get your T-Tag, top up to keep using it. Choose whichever method of topping up is most convenient for you. Go through quicker with a T-Tag every time on Transgem Highways.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales.
They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This morning, morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical, for a better choice in the electrical business.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With this thing of Honey Bee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon. Top of the afternoon to you. Welcome to another episode of Nationwide at 5. Actually, this is the Cover Story. Top of the afternoon to you if you're watching us on our YouTube channel. Welcome. Of course, if you're listening on the 90 FM band, we welcome you as well. Inside the Cover Story today, we have a very good one for you. A student of William Knibb High School with cerebral palsy has been granted a special device allowance to write her external exams, and that is great news. If you watched the morning program this morning, Nationwide this morning, with Tawna and George, pardon me, you would be familiar with this story. And of course, this is some good news that we're reporting now. The student is set to sit her first exam tomorrow morning. That's Tuesday morning. Concerns were raised by a relative of the student on Nationwide this morning. According to the relative, Roshana Jarrett, the student has been accommodated over the 5 years of her secondary education by allowing her to use a device to write her exams. Jarrett says when the student entered grade 10, the family sought to have a relative assist the child during the exams. However, the request was not granted due to CXC's policy. The relative says special assessment accommodations were instead granted in the form of a reader-writer.
we had an arrangement in place which was changed at the last minute, and we had to get a new scribe for her, because what they advised is that she would need a scribe to do the exam. We hustled, got a new scribe, and they accepted the person, and she's been working with her for the last few weeks in terms of trying to understand her speech. There's some letters in the alphabet that she does not pronounce at all, and so it's very, very hard to understand when she speaks.
The voice there for Shauna Jarrett. Now, in light of this, she says her relative would stand a better chance by using a device. In response, Principal of William Knibb High, Linvern Wright, says protocols are already in place to accommodate the student.
As it stands, she will use a computer, and all the protocols for CXC in terms of ensuring that she's properly quarantined to ensure that there's integrity in the exams will be observed at school. But CXC has those protocols in place, and we have worked them out.
The voice of Linvern Wright, principal of William Knibb. Now, in addition to a separate room, CXC has also allowed the student to be given extra time to complete her exams. Following the update, Ms. Jarrett says the student is in good spirits and prepared for Tuesday's exams. How do regional exam bodies accommodate students with disabilities? For that discussion, we're being joined by CEO of the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC, that's Dr. Wayne Wesley, as well as Deputy Executive Director of the Overseas Examinations Commission, the OEC, Sharon Burnett, and Principal of William Knibb High School, Linvern Wright. Top of the afternoon to all of you. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners as well.
Indeed, and an eminent panel that we have here lined up, quite an eminent cast. But let me begin with you, Dr. Wayne Wesley. First of all, kudos to CXC for moving so swiftly and for doing the right thing on this.
Well, it is always a part of our policy to ensure that we treat with the utmost level of respect and executing what we call CXC duty of care, that all our candidates are treated in the best way possible. The persons with disability or the visual impaired or the blind, any of those individuals, we do have a structured policy in place that ensures that they are taken care of when they are writing any of our examinations, be it extra time, be it a writer, and all that is required for some situations that are more medically challenging than others, that they would be required to submit to us a medical report that gives the condition, and also the medical doctor will also advise as to what is needed to assist the child as they write the examinations. In this case, the medical doctor indicated that the person needs a writing assistance, and so we provided the writing assistance. Our policy allows for extra time to be given. Our policy allows for persons to be using additional media devices, particularly persons with medical and mental conditions. It includes rest break, medication access, emergency plans, separate rooms, and assistive technology for mental health. They can apply to use digital devices. They can apply to use the persons to assist them. So our system and policy that we have in place is quite comprehensive. Where our timing in the initial stage might be not sufficient, there's always the opportunity to request additional time. And if the doctors actually indicate that persons need certain amount of time, we normally oblige. Right? So once the request comes to us, we act on that request.
Thank you for that. Let me bring the principal of William Knibb here in on the conversation. Linvern Wright, CXC, very responsive to the call that was made this morning. Your reaction to that?
Well, yes, but as I said, they have been responsive to whatever request has been made. The initial request that was made was for a writer, as I have in the letter dated the 17th of January by her doctor. But I'm happy that CXC has gone to deal with the new request that has been made. But I want to just make it clear that it is new, because I'm the person who was trying to verify that this is what the doctor had said, and the doctor had made this request. So I don't know that CXC was reluctant. I hope that the impression is not being given that CXC was reluctant to give any kind of or give consideration to any kind of request that was made. But I'm happy that it was made, and I'm happy that Tasha is comfortable now and referred.
And of course, Sharon Burnett, did the Overseas Examinations Commission have any role to play in the resolving of this issue?
Well, certainly, sir. Thank you again for engaging the Overseas Examinations Commission. The matter came to our attention this morning. We did the review to ascertain what exactly was the initial request. We confirmed that, as Mr. Red has said, the request was for a scribe and for another room to be used. But we're very happy that CXC also got involved, and we had to communicate with them on the matter. We reviewed the request that was made, and the LR made representation to see whether or not CXC at this very late stage would be able to accommodate the additional request that was made. And we're very happy to say that CXC, after a little deliberation with the team and so on, they accommodated the request. There are some strictures that are in place, of course, with respect to the device to be used, how it is to be handled, and security regarding that. But yes, the Overseas Exams Commission played a role in the outcome that we now have.
Absolutely, and this is some really good news in our system of education across the region. It's really good to see CXC being so responsive, and as we heard there from Principal Linver, right, just to make sure that we're communicating properly. CXC wasn't initially reluctant to this. This is a new request that was made of CXC, and CXC has demonstrated its responsiveness by approving it a day before the actual examination. One may argue less than 24 hours before the actual sitting of the examinations. This is Nationwide at 5. We're inside the cover story. We'll take the break right here, and when we come back, we'll drill down a little deeper into this issue. Soon come.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
29 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston and 30 out west in the tourism mecca of Montego Bay.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Attention bargain hunters and DIY lovers. Get ready for the Sherwin-Williams yard sale happening May 8 and 9, starting at 9 a.m. sharp. Location, Sherwin-Williams head office, White Marl, St. Catherine. We're clearing out the warehouse at unbelievable discounts. Perfect for your next home improvement project, refresh, or creative makeover. From quality paints to great finds, this is your chance to save big on trusted Sherwin-Williams products. Doors open at 9 a.m., so come early, May 8 and 9. Sherwin-Williams yard sale. Great products, great prices, don't miss it.
Your dream home just got easier with Active Home Center. Now you can shop online for tiles, bathroom fixtures, furniture, appliances, and so much more, all from the comfort of your home. Visit ActiveHomeCenter.com, explore thousands of styles, get the best deals, then click and collect at your nearest Active location. Simple, secure, convenient. Your home is just one click away. Active Home Center, more savings, more choices.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us. We're inside the cover story, talking matters touching and concerning education. In particular, a student of William Knibb High School with cerebral palsy has been granted a special device allowance to write her external exams. Of course, those exams begin tomorrow morning. The concerns were raised by a relative of the student on Nationwide this morning. I listened to the conversation, Dr. Wayne Wesley, and while I was listening to the conversation, I'm thinking to myself that surely CXC must be able to approve this device. We're in 2026. Were there ever rules that precluded the use of devices this way?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is always a rule that, or the provision, the code on the application form that says if persons want to use computers, word processing activity, we allow them. All they need to do is to make the request. As you heard from Lindburn and Carl, if that request was included on the very first submission which was made to us in January, albeit after the period, then that would have been accommodated. Right? So the policy framework, nothing we're doing here right now is outside of the policy framework. The policy framework allows for these, but the requests will have to be made. CXC could not determine that, okay, this person will be requiring iPad or something to make to improve their ability to respond to the questions. So nothing that we have done is outside of our policy. Our policy allows for these things. It allows for rest breaks. It is comprehensive in nature. If the standard is 15 minutes per hour, 15 minutes per hour. So if you have a 2.5 hour exam, that's like 45 minutes. And then when you add the rest breaks with that, you can get up to 1 hour, right? Because of how the examinations are. And if a medical practitioner says that this child needs more than that because of whatever, we will accommodate, but you know that's a lot more dynamic because you have to have invigilators extended, all of those things, extra room, but that's not a problem. We have put provisions in place to ensure that we can treat with that. The Marrakesh Treaty is an important treaty that we subscribe to, particularly for persons with the visual impaired, that says we should make all our books, libraries, braille, audio, large print, digital formats, okay, given the nature of the persons we have to treat with. All these formats, electronic formats for accessing and writing examinations will be utilized and be made available. Audio, to some persons, it is audio that we have to give to them, right? And so our policies provide for the use of technology and ensuring that we facilitate every single child, regardless of their ability, if they're differently abled, whatever that circumstance is, we will ensure that they can write an exam in the most comfortable environment possible for them to succeed. Because we want every child to succeed. And that's why we subscribe to the Marrakesh Treaty. And we have been asking all ministries of education to ensure that systems are in place to advance what the Marrakesh Treaty is saying, that all books, all learning materials must be available in audio, video, and in any technology-enhanced format that allows for learning to take place and allows for persons with disability to demonstrate the competencies that they have. And this person is no different. And so we are happy that it has been worked out, come to our attention, and all of us as stakeholders together responded to ensure that the student was well taken care of. And that is CXC's duty of care.
Wonderful, and I'm thoroughly happy to see CXC being so responsive, particularly to a student with special needs. But I think we've lost Linvern. Linvern Wright is back with us, but I want to hear from both Linvern Wright and Sharon Burnett, and then I want to come back to you, Dr. Wesley, about the 15 minutes and whether or not how did we arrive at that additional 15 minutes. But Linvern Wright, Sharon Burnett, were you aware that the device would have been allowed and all that was required was a request? Did you know that these that the rules said so? Were you aware, Linvern Wright?
Well, what I know is CXC asked to make a request, and what we have on our file is that doctors, because the doctor determines pretty much what they need, so CXC could determine it like that. So what she would have needed as a scribe, and if it is that was needed, and that is what the doctor would have recommended. So that's what I know. I know that the doctor does the recommendation.
No, man, that's not where I was driving at, Principal Wright. What I'm driving at is, were you aware that CXC had rules that could facilitate the use of a device?
Well, not specifically a device, because CXC doesn't restrict it like that. I mean, if your doctor requests whatever you need to ensure that the exam is properly done and it does not compromise the integrity of the exam, that's what is approved, as I understand it.
What about you, Sharon Burnett? Were you aware that the rules could accommodate this, the rules as they are now?
Absolutely. There is an application process. The application form in hard copy works through all the different options that are available, solutions that are available for students dependent on the need expressed. So yes, we're very clear on what is possible. However, remember that we have to be guided by the requests that have been submitted. So we are not able to interrogate. So even if we would have read the form and seen the cerebral palsy, we wouldn't necessarily know that there is a better way, and we are not in a position to make those recommendations. As Mr. Wright said, the professional in the field is the one who makes the recommendation. But yes, we were very aware that there are several options available for students who are differently able, who have learning challenges and so on, yes.
And specifically the use of a device in this way.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, we don't even have to go to an electronic device now. Students could have used Braille from forever. So, and that's a device. So CXS just moved with the times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every examining body has to ensure that they're meeting the current needs of the cohort of stakeholder students.
And have we ever had an application and approval for the use of an electronic device in this way before?
I do believe so. I'm not sure what the nature of the candidate's challenge was. So I can't speak specifically, but it is not the first time that a device has been approved.
All right. Let me bring Dr. Wesley back in before we run out of time. The 15 minutes that is per hour that is the standard. How did CXC arrive at that standard? Because there are some who might be saying more time might be needed.
Yes, but let's think about it. It's a 2.5 hour examinations. 15 minutes on the hour means that an extra half an hour under normal circumstances would be given. Now, this is benchmark against international practice and standard for persons with disability and the extra time needed in examinations. Remember also that I have indicated that if the doctor, the medical practitioner, would indicate that more time is needed or extra time is needed, it will be provided for. But with the current construct, the initial stage with persons with disability is 15 on the hour, and if it is that you need more, you can get up to an additional 20 minutes. Now, it is possible that you can get an exam for 2.5 hours or 3.5 hours. Now, if it's going to be longer than that, then we have to now think, are we testing endurance or are we testing persons' ability to do what they need to do? But they do get up to an hour and perhaps even a little longer, because, invigilators do have heart. And so when they're dealing with these particular circumstances, the extra 15 minutes can sometimes be 20 on both hours, depending on the circumstances that we are treating with.
And the invigilator on the ground has some amount of leeway to facilitate.
Yes, because they are the ones who control the examinations if they want to do that. Of course, they still work in policy, but if there's something happening, they do have their own
they have some flexibility to apply discretion.
Yes.
So CXC didn't pull this 15 minutes out of the clouds. It's
no. It's a standard that we use, benchmark across what happens internationally. And as I said, even though we have recognized that, the provision is there for more time to be granted, depending on the severity of the situation
at hand. What has been your experience on the ground, Linvern, right? Has the 15 minutes per hour proven to be enough? Is that your experience?
I've never known it not to be. I mean, the parental cry that the time is not enough is from maybe from even the people who have disabilities more than the disabled people. But the truth is that I find people who have disabilities are sometimes far more prepared than many other persons, and so I haven't heard of many complaints. Because I, as a principal, for example, I really try to work with disabled students, and I've not had any serious issues with them, having any problems with time or any kind of permission.
And for you, Ms. Burnett, what has been your experience with that additional time of 15 minutes per hour? Is it that people have been asking for more, or it's been working well?
Well, we've not had complaints that insufficient time has been requested. We are aware that the examining body has given more than 15 minutes when the matter is assessed, and I suppose based on the request of the professional that has done the medical or the psychological report. And so I am aware that more time has been given, but I've had no experience of any complaint that 15 minutes is not enough.
Absolutely. Well, all right. So good news coming out of this is that this request has been made. CXC has approved the request. That's absolutely positive news. But before we close, go ahead, Dr. Wesley. There's one other question.
I just want to make the point that over the years, CXC across the region, we deal with over 3,200 students every year who would have applied for assistance because they have some form of disability. Okay? So the numbers are huge right across the region, over 3,000.
And we're out of time, but definitely good news all around, and so we really do wish the student all the best. But thanks to the boss of CXC, that is Dr. Wayne Wesley. We have also the Deputy Executive Director of the Overseas Examinations Commission, OEC, that's Sharon Burnett, and of course the Principal of William Knibb High School, Linvern Wright. Thanks to all of you. We appreciate the time and the thoughts.
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners.
Indeed. Very positive news today, which we welcome and appreciate. This has been The Cover Story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Norige Banton. The country's second largest patty manufacturer, Tasty, has announced a price increase effective today. The increase is $20 across the board. A representative of Tasty speaking with Nationwide News confirmed that the standard beef patty will now cost $320. That's up from $300. Chicken patties will similarly cost $350, up from $330. A cheese patty will now cost $400, up from $380. The price adjustment is the result of rising input costs brought on by a number of variables. These include fuel and energy prices, government revenue measures, and the general effects of inflation. A student of William Knibb High School with cerebral palsy has been granted a special device allowance to write her external exams. The student is set to sit her first exam Tuesday morning. Concerns were raised by the student's family on Nationwide this morning on Monday. According to one of the child's relatives, Rashana Jarrett, the student has been accommodated over the 5 years of her secondary education by allowing her to use a device to write her exams. Jarrett says when the student entered grade 10, the family sought to have a relative assist the child during the exams. However, the request was not granted due to CXC's policy. The relative says special assessment accommodations were instead granted in the form of a reader-writer.
We had an arrangement in place which was changed at the last minute, and we had to get a new scribe for her because what they advised is that she would need a scribe to do the exam. We hustled, got a new scribe, and they accepted the person, and she's been working with her for the last few weeks in terms of trying to understand her speech. There's some letters in the alphabet that she does not pronounce at all, and so it's very, very hard to understand when she speaks.
In light of this, Jarrett says her relative would stand a better chance by using a device. In response, Principal of William Knibb, Linvern Wright, says protocols are already in place to accommodate the student.
As it stands, she will use a computer, and all the protocols for CXC in terms of ensuring that she's properly quarantined to ensure that there's integrity in the exams will be observed at school. But CXC has those protocols in place, and we have worked them out.
In addition to a separate room, CXC has allowed the student to be given extra time to complete her exams. More children as young as 10 are being groomed and exploited by predators they meet on social media platforms. The alarming disclosure was revealed by the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, or CISOCA, during the latest episode of the JCF's Force for Good podcast on Sunday. According to CISOCA, the crimes committed in the digital space are often twofold. They can either occur entirely online or begin there before victims actually meet the perpetrators in person. Senior investigating officer at CISOCA, Detective Inspector Debbie Jennings, says children as young as 10 are falling victim to these crimes.
It's trending now where almost every child has a gadget. And oftentimes the report is we met on social media, speak for a few, have few conversations. Boy like girl, they meet at a location. They're just so excited to meet. They meet at a location, and from there, they will go to somewhere else. Maybe meet a few times, and then they find themselves in problems. We even have 10-year-olds involved in sexual situations because of the social media platform.
Her colleague, Quality Assurance Officer Inspector Cherise Johnson, says the digital space has also made it more difficult to find perpetrators.
When we try to do an investigation, it is taken down. And so it is hard for us to really find that person. And so we will oftentimes have to liaison with CFCD to help us to find the perpetrator.
Cherise Johnson, Quality Assurance Officer. She's urging parents and guardians to pay closer attention to their children's online interactions. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
Don't wait for the symptoms start show. HIV test free. Make sure you know. Me take me test. Me get the news. Me take my meds. We can't lose. Family there, support there too. We strong, we bold life, I live right through. Live bold, test early. Test the HIV. No, you start a smooth surely. Me take me test. Me get the news. Me take my meds. We can't lose. Free testing is available at health centers island-wide.
A message by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Already have a T-tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. You can now conveniently add funds to your T-tag on WhatsApp. Just save our T-tag WhatsApp number 876-355-3336 and send us a message when you want to top up. Top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
If you've ever called in, shared your story, or got help on this show, then you're already family. Now make it official. Join the nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Good evening with your sports reporter, I'm Alric Swaby. We kick things off with some football as former national players Michael Johnson and Darren Moore are among 4 candidates who've already applied for the post of head coach for the Jamaica national senior men's football team. Johnson, a central defender, played 13 times for Jamaica, including at the 2000 and the 2003 CONCACAF Gold Cup, and was also head coach for the Guyana national team 2018 to 2019. Moore won 2 caps for Jamaica between 1999 and 2000 and was also caretaker manager for West Bromwich Albion while they were in the English Premier League. The other 2 coaches who've applied for the role full-time are Rudolph Speed and Miguel Coley, who stood in interim roles during the Interconfederation World Cup playoffs against New Caledonia and Democratic Republic of Congo. The appointment of the long-term head coach will likely be made closer to summer as a technical committee has asked the board of the Jamaica Football Federation for more time for applicants to submit their interest. The board will instead have an emergency meeting on Tuesday at the JFF offices to consider a recommendation from said technical committee to make Speed head coach until at least the end of June.
The technical committee has made a recommendation for a short-term contract, which would take us to maybe the middle of June, so that we can make a coach available between now and then, of course, including the Unity Cup. We're working on a practice game, tentatively that is set for June 4. We've been talking to maybe 2 or 3 possible candidates. So tomorrow we will get some confirmation or try to get a majority on who would recommend for the short term.
That's JFF President Michael Ricketts, who told the Nationwide Sports on Monday that if the board accepts the recommendation, then Speed will not have an assistant with him for the Unity Cup as they cut back on expenses. In the meantime, the national senior team could face Asian giants Iran in an international friendly on June 4. Ricketts says the federation has been in talks with Iran and Spain, but says the likely opponents will be Iran.
We're speaking with Spain, we're speaking with Iran, and there are 2 other countries that would have given an indication that they may be interested, but we haven't got very far with those. Spain, we may have a challenge with Spain because they did indicate that they're also speaking with another country. But Iran, we're still speaking with Iran. So I believe that if it's not Spain, it could very well be Iran.
Michael Ricketts. The coach of a local Premier League outfit, Harbourview, Lenny Hyde, says he has the tools at the club to beat the drop on the final day of regulation season action in the Royal Navy Jamaica Premier League on Wednesday. The Stars of the East are currently occupying the last relegation spot in the 14-team league and could join Spanish Town Police in the nation's 2nd tier next season if they fail to beat champions Cavalier away on Wednesday. Cavalier are in the 5th on 58 points and may need the points themselves as there's still a chance they could finish outside the top 6. A victory over Cavalier may still not be enough for Harbourview if Malines, with whom they are tied on 39 points, bag all 3 points in their game away to Treasure Beach, who are already safe. So the question is, how will Harbourview escape on Wednesday?
We put ourselves where we are now, so we have to try and take us out of this situation. I know the quality that we have in the team, the art and the determination that we have. So at any given day, if they come with that mentality and that desire, they will perform well. And I think they did that. Maybe it's a situation they have to step up, or else our season will be over today. So we live to fight another day again, another tough game on Wednesday. So we only have 2 days to prepare for it. So we just have to go and deal it with the best of our ability.
Now it's a straight fight between Harborview and Mullines as to who will go down, and Mullines coach Jeremy Thompson thought his players lacked the cutting edge in front of goal in their defeat to Harborview on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely a tough one. One of them games you do not want to lose, but if you're not going to score easy, simple chances, then it's hard to put you out in the ring. And definitely, it's just like you're at home today, and you saw we played, especially in the first half, we created some good opportunities, clear opportunities. We miss from inside, the 6-yard box. When you miss goals like those, sometimes football can be really, really dreadful, and you sometimes pay for it.
Jermaine Thomas. All games on Wednesday will start at 3:30 p.m. Now, former champions Manchester City dropped crucial points in their title chase for the English Premier League after coming from 3-1 down to earn a 3-3 draw with Everton in a thrilling Monday night encounter at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Belgian international Jeremy Doku scored 2 stunning goals for the citizens, including the equalizer with literally the last kick of the game 8 minutes into added time.
Doku, brilliant! That is absolutely sensational from Doku. He bent one in with his left foot in the first half. He's bent one in with his right foot in stoppage time in the second half, and he just may have reignited Manchester City's Premier League title hopes.
Now, French international Thierry Barry was also a double scorer for Everton. City are now on 71 points, 5 behind leaders Arsenal, who've played a game more. Meanwhile, Chelsea's season continued to spiral. They were beaten 3-1 at home by Nottingham Forest to be 9th in the table and in danger of missing Europe's altogether. Now to some track and field, as a former Canadian sprinter Donovan Bailey explained that he's hopeful Jamaican sprinter Elaine Thompson-Hera is in good physical condition following her anchor leg that powered Jamaica to victory in the women's 4x100 meters relay at the recently concluded World Relays in Botswana. The quartet of Brianna Williams, Jodine Williams, Le'Veon Williams and Thompson-Hera sped to 42 seconds flat, but it was Thompson-Hera's slight grimace at the end of her brilliant run that raised eyebrows, leading to questions as to whether she picked up an injury.
An issue. I mean, for someone who was blown to Achilles, I hope to God it's not a tendon issue, because again, just like you said, man, old Elaine is back, man. I'm like, you got the baton and she was down. And I mean, for me, all I saw was, the next 5 steps, the extension and what I saw in 10-5 Elaine. You know what I mean? Because she snapped just like that, right? I read her lip. When she got across the line, she said, I'm injured. Like the girl, I mean, I don't remember her other teammate came up and said something, but she voiced, I am injured.
Now Jamaica topped the medal table with 2 golds and a silver medal, including a world record of 39.62 in the 4x100 meters mixed relay. Bailey, who was speaking on the Mr. Analyst podcast, is hoping that worst case scenario, Thompson-Hera was only suffering from cramps.
Well, let's hope to God it's just it. That's what I'm saying to you. Let's hope that's just it. Let's hope I see Elaine on the track next week. I mean, but there's many things. Flight, there's a whole lot of time that from Jamaica to Botswana. It's a whole lot of time. Hydration, that's one. Therapy. I'm just saying these are all the things that you could. I mean, she could still be in loading mode in training. So if she did a pretty serious workout yesterday and she's dehydrated, and she's getting out race rust, obviously from post running in Jamaica. There could be a bunch of things.
Donovan Bailey. Now, World Athletics President Lord Sebastian Coe says he's optimistic the recently concluded World Relays in Gabon, Botswana will ignite passion for athletics in the country. Lord Coe added that his history suggests new talents will now be drawn to the sport in Botswana, eager to showcase they have what it takes to compete on the global stage.
And this is a great opportunity off the back of these championships to certainly create a stronghold for kids athletics, particularly in Africa, because we think that this is where some of the biggest differences will be made. And we know that over the next, I talked about 50 years of history, but the next 50 years is going to be in large part the story about the African continent and the contribution. I'm a great believer that major events do lead to an increase in participation.
Lord Coe further explained that achieving this level of success requires a collaborative effort.
I witnessed that 8 years ago here in terms of nurturing the next generation of talent, and then to give that young talent the opportunity to perform in front of even younger people in the stadium is a virtuous circle. I also think that the legacy here also is about developing a competence alongside the International Federation of delivering more events. Botswana is open for business.
Lord Sebastian Coe. And now to some swimming. As Jesse Paul Primary etched their name into the history books after capturing the boys' title at the recent YMCA Burger King Prep and Primary Schools Swimming Championships held at the National Stadium Pool. It marked a milestone achievement for the school as this was their first ever swim title. Head coach Florence Williams credited the team's determination and focus for the breakthrough performance.
When I realized was when it was announced, because we weren't watching that, we just came out to do our best. So we were not even calculating points to know that we were eligible to receive anything at the end. Because had we known, then maybe one or two could have stayed back to even receive the trophy. But at that point, all the swimmers left.
Now she reserved a special praise for the team's male MVP, Marcus Russell.
We had a program in the Easter. Again, our MVP boy participated in that program, whereas other children, they also had the pep preparation over the Easter holiday. He had to do his training in the morning and then go to his pep class. He sat the grade 6 pep on Thursday and came to the meet on Friday. So what I would say is that in life, what you put in determines what you get out.
Now the girls' primary division, Excelsior Primary, emerged as champions. Meanwhile, in the prep school division, St. Peter and Paul secured the boys' title, with Creative Kids Learning Center took top honors in the girls' category. I'm Alex Riby, and that's your sports.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall.
Up a Total Tools.
Weed waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston. And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
From the biggest tracks to the biggest energy, Nationwide keeps it moving. If you love the vibes, come and lock in with us for real.
World boss, leave a prison could stop me.
Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Practice. God me say you watch you of me practice.
Strat, you know here, we totally turn up down at Total Tools. Big things are going. Yes, my love. 10 a.m., May 15 at Total Tools, Lot C6 Drax Hall. Whole heap of new things, whole heap of excitement. And guess what? Cliff Hughes online, I got it there live on location from 10 a.m. to to 1 p.m. Among prizes, surprises, and giveaways, I got there. But another alone, you know, them are going to have up to 25% off at all 3 locations. Can't miss this. Remember, 10 a.m., May 15, Total Tools, Lot C6, Drax All. Catch it live on YouTube during Cliff Views Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a go massive.
He never shies away from taboo topics. Voyagings After Dark.
The most riveting discussions.
Voyagings After Dark.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Korean Voyagings this and every Wednesday from 8 to 11 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
You can't miss.
What's buzzing?
Celebrity outfits.
Is that a hit or a miss?
Bust the odds.
Jamaica's Got Talent.
Wait, a war man.
Hot takes.
Talk up the takes.
Actual factual. Life is short. Voyagings After Dark.
Come get your mind blown.
And your curiosity explored.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This Morning. Morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical for a better choice in the electrical business.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Merle Grove High School on May 15, it's your time. The NNN School Tour 2026 is bringing energy, talent, and excitement straight to your school.
Pull up your pants and put it on your waist and
we're pulling up to highlight student talent and creativity while bringing the fun with games, exciting prizes, and live performances you won't want to miss.
Missing.
It's all going down on May 15 from 1 to 4 p.m. at Merle Grove High School. Don't miss the vibes, the fun, and your chance to shine. See you there. This broadcast is brought to you by the Police Civilian Oversight Authority, Tip Friendly Society, LMH Publishing, Wisynco Group, Digicel, Nutrition Products Limited, and Mystic Mountain, Jamaica.
Good afternoon, good evening rather. Thank you so much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. Yeah, we're inside the nation's business, and inside the nation's business, we want to turn our attention to amendments to the Firearms Act. Of course, there are now calls for the mandatory minimum sentence to be removed, those provisions, that is. Now, the government will be amending the Firearms Act to reduce the penalties currently applied to those found in possession of imitation guns. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the time the law was being crafted, the country's murder rate was out of control.
There are a couple of things in there we have to change, and that's what we're doing with everything. Not a major change. The primary ones, of course, the issue raised where there are 2 issues raised with toy gun and firearm. It's interesting. When it was being debated in Parliament, and at that time was still early days, and the murder rate was still running over 4,500,000. I think if we had civil lock a man for trying to cut a toy gun out of paper, everybody would say yes. The mood was anything that looked like a gun must be out of space. That was the mood then.
As it now stands, those found in possession of imitation guns carry the same offense of a mandatory 15 years in prison as those who use them for criminal intent. But civil society groups and legal experts as well have criticized the law. They argued that it places the court in a position with little to no flexibility to exercise discretion, particularly in those cases involving children who use it for educational or entertainment purposes. Dr. Chang admits that there was oversight on the matter.
I think there was a little bit of oversight in moving the toll gun into Section 5 of the law. And the Prime Minister asked for it to be changed because some lawyers started making a big fuss about it. And maybe for good reason. We had already started the process. And we're going to make the amendments. We went through fairly quickly, and it's a big bill. And there are no more other things there to tidy up. It is a tidying up operation. We will have that in the House this quarter.
The voice there of the country's National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang. Of course, he's also the country's Deputy Prime Minister. He was speaking at a recent post-cabinet media briefing. Now, some lawmakers, or lawyers that is, are now calling for mandatory minimum sentences to be erased from the Act altogether. And in yesterday's edition of the Sunday Gleaner, in an article headlined Off Target on page A3 of the Gleaner, written by its senior Gleaner writer Erica Virtue, it quotes AAJ President, that's the Advocates Association of Jamaica President, that's Tamika Harris, saying that true reform must restore full discretion to judges. And the quote reads, the AAJ has long advocated for greater judicial discretion in sentencing, as mandatory minimums can lead to disproportionately harsh outcomes that do not adequately reflect the specific circumstances of each case. We would, however, urge Parliament to go further and give serious consideration to removing mandatory minimum sentences altogether, particularly in cases where the accused indicates an intention to plead guilty. The current framework often necessitates applications for certificates to access the Court of Appeal so that the court can impose a sentence below the mandatory minimum. This is not the most efficient use of judicial resources and does little to promote the timely disposal of matters. That's what AAJ President Tamika Harris told the Sunday Gleaner in an article published yesterday. Joining us to discuss this matter further, Senior Attorney at Law Bert Samuels, Attorney at Law Matthew Hyatt, and of course another Attorney at Law and member of the Advocates Association of Jamaica, Iqbal Chavaria. Yeah, I hope I got that last name, the pronunciation correct. Welcome to all of you to Nationwide at 5.
Pleasure to be here.
Indeed. Let me begin with the Senior Attorney at Law, Bert Samuels. Those sentiments expressed by Tamika Harris, the AAJ President, you support them? It doesn't appear we're hearing from Bert Samuels. You with us?
Are you?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear now, Senior Counsel.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've long and I'm on record as opposing the mandatory minimum as an infringement of the separation of powers, which is simply put, the legislature should stay in its lane. The judiciary should be given the upper limit by the law, and then the judges use their discretion. For what Parliament has been doing is effectively becoming legislature and sentencer. So the legislature, it is the parliamentarians who are sentencing the citizens. And that is frowned upon under the principle of the separation of powers. And secondly, I am old enough to know that when the gun crimes went up in the early 70s, there was another knee-jerk reaction which had to be adjusted. There was a sentence called indefinite detention, where the person would be sent away without knowing how long it's going to last. And that those draconian knee-jerk reactions come from a parliament where half, or maybe a little less than half, are lawyers themselves. I always wonder, why is it that we are trained lawyers? When we become politicians, we take off the common sense hat and take off the lawyer hat and do cruel things like, a paper gun, a cardboard gun giving you 15 years imprisonment that is in a man's waist. He hasn't pulled it out and he gets 15 years. So it is ridiculous. It has nothing respectfully to do with the crime rate. It has to do with an insensitivity and trying to please whichever it is to put in one barrel several levels of criminality. That's my take on it.
I think we're up on a break right here. When we come back, we get the thoughts of Matthew Hyatt and Iqbal Chavaria. All right, soon come.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32. Welcome back. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences and the call that is before the country for debate, for dialogue, for national dialogue as to whether or not the Firearms Act should be amended to remove this mandatory minimum. You just heard there from Senior Counsel Bert Samuels. Let's bring in Iqbal Chaveri, an attorney at law and member of the Advocates Association of Jamaica. Your take on this? I gather your view might be in step with that of your President, Tamika Harris?
Most definitely. I am in step with President Harris, and I also adopt what my senior has said in respect of the possible violation of the separations of powers doctrine. I will only take it a bit further to a more practical and realized approach to it. When we talk about mandatory minimum, we're talking about persons not willing to enter any plea agreements, notwithstanding the circumstances. So we're talking about longer trial times, and if there's a conviction, more persons in the criminal system. That would mean more of taxpayers' money being allocated to provide for those persons. We're also talking about, if we take it a step further, there is a lack of the judges having the autonomy to look at a matter and say, all right, this is person A with a paper gun. How can I treat with person A different from person B? So when we talk about, Minister is talking about a tidying up approach, I certainly think that we need to look not just at the sentence as it relates to imitation firearm, but take it a step further as it relates to mandatory minimum sentences in general. Because if it is that we are trying to save as a country, this is an area that we need to consider, because it does not only stop at curving, it takes us a step further. The taxpayers will face the bill if it is that we are treating with everything in this holistic approach.
Matthew Hyatt, let me hear your take before I start the pushing back with the tougher questions.
Certainly agree with both of my colleagues. It is also a disrespect and an affront to our judges themselves. Our judges are sensible, bright individuals who can look at each case on a case-by-case basis to determine what sentence to adopt. And we also have a sentencing guideline. And so when we have the mandatory minimum sentences, the judge's discretion is totally curtailed, and her hands are tied. And as such, the judge cannot look at the case, the peculiar circumstances of each case, and to then determine what sentence is best to be used in these circumstances. And I believe that our judges are very much capable of doing so. As my colleague said, it is an affront to the separation of powers. I believe that it is unconstitutional, and it ought to be revoked. I mean, the minister said that it is a knee-jerk reaction, but I'm sure we had the Joint Select Committee, we had many recommendations, and I don't think none of those adoptions were in place at that time, and here we are now.
Matthew Hyatt, let me begin the pushback on that point about unconstitutional. Why not challenge the provision in court?
Well, I do believe my colleague John Clark has started to do that in a sense. So I know that we have started to do that.
And when you say have started to do that, what does that mean?
I believe that he has filed a claim. I cannot confirm fully, but I do believe in recent discussions that he has done so in regards to an imitation firearm. Can I come in?
Yes, come please, Bert Samuels. As someone sought to challenge the provision?
The constitutionality to me is pretty easy to appreciate. It doesn't take lawyers to understand that if you have a constitution that says punishment should not be cruel and inhumane. Cruel and inhumane is using the hatchet to kill the fly. And this is how it works. If a young man, a security guard, and we have a case like that, puts a cardboard-looking imitation gun in his waist, his shirt is over it. He's on duty. A police comes, sees him with the buff on his shirt, and frisk him and see the cardboard gun in his waist. That's 15 years. Now, if he has not taken it out, he's not molesting anyone with it, he's not pointing it on anyone to create any fear in them, then a properly constituted court, in my opinion, would have to classify 15 years as cruel and inhumane, because it is the same punishment for a firearm that can kill you and I in the waist. So you have to have proportionality in sentence, and that's a constitutional principle, proportionality. And therefore, the challenge for 15 years for a piece of paper in your waist, to me, is clearly before a constitutional court would cause them to think seriously that that punishment is cruel and inhumane.
Except though, you're not just calling for that specific provision regarding the imitation firearm. You're saying overall mandatory minimums ought to be removed.
I put that on one shelf.
Right.
So that is the imitation firearm shelf. Now the other shelf is the separation of powers issue. Although the Privy Council danced around it and in fact have ruled before, it may have been before the new Charter of Rights, that the minimum, that Parliament is free to set mandatory minimum. And they give it as universally applicable all over the world. I tend to, in my own mind, not want to just wholesalely import the jurisprudence of other countries. So I would like to give it a fresh attack in a constitutional court under the Charter of Rights, which is just somewhat.
But if it gets to the Privy Council, you're going to get the same ruling.
Well, you see, the arguments are different. The Privy Council itself, has changed its mind on issues.
So it might change its mind on this.
Yeah, definitely. Because
but the mind of the Privy Council now, though, you're saying is that the legislature has a right to impose to write in law a mandatory minimum.
Yeah, but one of the problems we have with the Privy Council is that they are trained in the English common law, where Parliament is supreme. Parliament in England can pass a law making a man a woman, because Parliament is the end of the bucket. We don't have a parliamentary democracy. We have a constitutional democracy where Parliament is subjected to the Constitution. In England, once the Parliament passes it, no constitution to challenge it.
But gentlemen, for those who are listening and saying, let's deal with the matter of the sentencing being the remit of the judges. Gentlemen, the fact is a mandatory minimum doesn't take sentencing away from the remit of the judge. It just says you can't. This is your starting point. It doesn't say. It doesn't say exactly. No, if I can get a question out.
Practically speaking, it's the start and the finish. We are in the court, we know it's always 15, no more.
Right, but I'm saying though, in when you look at what's written, if it's a mandatory minimum, it says you can't go below this.
Yeah, well, that's an academic review of it.
Right, no, but for those who are out there in Jamaica listening as well, and given the nature of our problems that we have with murders, of course we're seeing a reduction now. We're not out of the waters yet, one would think, because we need to see that over a number of years before we can say, okay, things have changed, right?
Yeah, my last point is this. There's a kind of very crazy thing that happened in a case about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The judge was faced with mandatory minimum. Guess who came to court as a character witness for the accused, begging the judge to ease him up? A member of Parliament. And the judge looked at him and said, but you voted for taking away my powers and discretions, and you come here to beg me. I found that very funny. Not really funny, but, it tells you that the judge has been emasculated, taken away from discretion. Circumstances changes cases.
People,
I'm through. My young colleagues can take over.
And because I want to hear from them, and I want to hear from you on this as well, Bert Samuels. People send the legislators to Parliament, vote for the MPs, and people are saying, look, we need to do something about the country's murder problem. We need to be tough on crime. And the 15 years mandatory minimum is one way the state has said we're being tough. I'm going to come to you. Let me take the the voice of the younger attorneys, and then I come back to you because I want to hear from you on it. They are being told by Jamaicans who send them to Parliament, we want you to be tough on crime. And we see in some cases where people are being given sentences that unduly shock the public conscience. So set a mandatory minimum so the judges know this is their starting point because we are serious about crime. That's what legislators have done, Matthew Hyatt. How do you respond to that? It seems we've lost Matthew. Is Iqbal there? Iqbal, are you there?
I am. Just to pick up until my friend get here. The issue is not that we are advocating for a crime-ridden society. So let's dispel that. What we are saying is that having 15 years at the starting point is disproportionate. What I am saying, what we are saying as a...
Disproportionate to what though, Iqbal, when we have a country with a murder rate that was out of control when this law was being passed. Hold on, let me get to the point, because I tell you, I'm a pushback on some of the points you all are making. We have a murder rate that was one of the highest anywhere in the world, and the weapon of choice in most of these murders is the gun. So how can we argue against a mandatory minimum being fair in a society like that?
But then when we actually...
No, we're not talking about cardboard guns. We're talking about people who are found with real guns. We've tabled the cardboard incident proposal already. We're talking about someone who is caught with a real firearm. Why can't that person be subjected to a mandatory minimum of 15 years?
Can I jump in?
All right, please jump in and help out Matthew Hyatt.
A practical view. A young man is in the inner city, a schoolboy, and the Don says, here's a firearm, you need to lock off this gun. And if you don't do it, we're going to kill your family. And he goes with this gun to school in fear of his life, and the police stops him on the road, searches his bag, and finds the firearm. 15-year-old boy, should that young man not be able to explain to the judge and say, ma'am, this is the circumstances, he should get 15 years in prison? Is that fair?
This is Matthew Hyatt, yes?
Yes.
All right. So Matthew Hyatt, let's say what percentage of the cases do you believe that is the case?
No, I'm
so
not.
You're arguing for an extenuating circumstance to be viewed as the rule.
But if those extenuating circumstances exist, which it can,
they do exist,
he will get 15 years.
Yes, but you are arguing for an extenuating circumstance to be viewed as the rule. Jamaica has a murder problem, and the gun the weapon that is most used is the gun.
But
how do we solve that problem from a legislative perspective?
I think we have already touched on that problem, Amendments were made to the offense against the person that legislated 30 and 50 years for murder. So what I see happening is that we are overlapping the varying legislation, which is what is curtailing the problem of the judge. So let's take, for example, a situation that you just brought up. Person A shots and kill person B with a gun. On the facts that constitute murder, the brilliant Crown Counsels that we have certainly will know that that is a matter that we will treat as one that will go to the circuit court. That is not one that we will have in our gun court. If we treat it as a murder matter, the sentences are higher, starting from 30 and 50 years respectively, depending on the circumstances. That is what is proper. Not advocating that 30-year is what we should be the starting point, because that's a separate conversation. My brother has indicated that these circumstances exist. If it exists for person A, that person deserves to have the protection. Even if one person is violated by this law, that is enough for Parliament to look and say, this is not something that should cover our citizens.
So what about the citizens who are listening to all of you gentlemen and saying, you all are defense attorneys, you have a horse in this race? And that is why you are all making this argument, Bert Samuels. How would you respond, Bert Samuels?
Well, every time this issue comes up that defense lawyers don't want stiff sentences, let me just answer that. The stiffer the sentence is the higher lawyers' fees. So that doesn't make sense. Just tell the public that. When we say that the mandatory shouldn't be so high, when the mandatory is higher, the lawyers make more fees. Please. Thank you.
I want to stay with you on that, though, Bert Samuels. I've heard you, I think, on this program saying that in relation to the matter where the Court of Appeal overturned the preemptory strikes that you were supposed to be given in a particular case.
Yes.
And you're saying the judges require a bit more training. It was your response. Aren't the legislators helping the judges by imposing this mandatory minimum? These judges that you say require more training.
But training has, the parliament had already set the standard. The judge just didn't follow it. So I think we're mixing up the duty of the judge, the duty of parliament. Parliament had already set the Jury Act, and the judge did not apply it. So it's not a good comparison.
So Parliament has set the mandatory minimum. Judges should so be guided. That's the point.
No, I'm saying I talk about the fairness of the law. The jury point was a fairness point, and the judge didn't follow it. You know, the man was facing a maximum of 50 years, and he got only 2 challenges. So I can't make that. I don't see the correlation between this argument and that.
Well, all right. Gentlemen, we have to leave it there. We've gone over time. This is a conversation that I'm sure that we'll continue to have because the act will go before the Parliament again for possible amendments, and hopefully we can get the thoughts of your eminent selves at that point. All right. Thanks to Bert Samuels, Senior Attorney at Law, Matthew Hyatt, Attorney at Law, and of course Iqbal Chaveria. He's an attorney at law and member of the Advocates Association of Jamaica. Really appreciate the time and the thoughts, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Indeed. All right, that's where we have to leave it for the nation's business. We take a break. When we come back, I'll take you around the world.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Every professional reaches a moment when growth calls, a promotion, a new opportunity, a bigger vision. At Mona School of Business and Management, our globally competitive graduate programs, including the internationally accredited MBA, are designed for ambitious professionals who are ready to lead. With flexible delivery options that fit your lifestyle, advancing your career is within reach. Learn from world-class faculty, connect with influential leaders, transform your future. Visit discover.msbm-uwi.org and apply online for a graduate degree. MSBM, Global Knowledge, Regional Solutions.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. It's the Monday edition of the program, and we trust that you had a great weekend. Didn't say that earlier, but I trust you had a great weekend. Now, inside this segment called Around the World, we are going to be bringing your attention to a development in science here that was reported on by the Guardian newspaper. And I would suppose this is the Guardian in the UK. Yeah, it does look like the Guardian in the UK, yes. Now, one of my favorite papers to read for investigative stuff. Now, it says here, though, that in this article on men's health, that a man produces sperm from testicular tissue frozen as a child in breakthrough trial. And the subdeck says, exclusive sperm retransplant offers hope that boys left infertile by chemotherapy could have biological children one day. Of course, this article written by Hannah Devlin, the science correspondent for The Guardian. And it reads, in a groundbreaking fertility trial, a man whose testicular tissue was frozen before he underwent chemotherapy as a child to be retransplanted 16 years later has been able to produce sperm. It is the first time a transplant of the cryopreserved pubertal testicular tissue has been demonstrated to restore sperm production in an adult patient. So a major breakthrough there in the scientific endeavors. Now, the article goes on to read, the 27-year-old man had the sample frozen when he was 10 before undergoing potent chemotherapy as part of treatment for sickle cell disease. The article reads, quote, "This is a huge finding," said Professor Ellen Gossens of the Vrije Universiteit Brussels, who led the trial. Many more people will have hope that they can have biological children. It's great to see for the patients for whom we already have a tissue banked. Treatments such as chemotherapy and radiotherapy, the article says, can be life-saving for childhood cancer and sickle cell patients, but can also leave them infertile. After puberty, it is possible to preserve male patients' sperm to use later in IVF, but this is not an option for prepubescent boys. Now, in 2002, the Belgian clinic became the first to start banking testicular tissue of pubertal patients. The immature testes contain spermatogeneal stem cells, the precursors of sperm, and serotoli cells, essential nerve cells that support and nourish developing sperm. The article quotes Gossens as saying, at that time, this field was in its infancy. These methods were just being developed in animals. We told patients' families we couldn't guarantee that the fertility restoration would be successful. The clinic's first wave of patients are now reaching their mid-20s, and some have reached the point of wanting to start a family, including the first patient to have tissue retransplanted. It goes on to read, to treat his sickle cell disease, he had received high-dose chemotherapy in 2008 to wipe out his own blood cells before undergoing a bone marrow transplant. Before the treatment, the clinic surgically removed the one testicle, segmented it into small pieces, and froze the tissue. Last year, 4 tissue fragments were grafted back into the remaining testicle and 4 under the skin of the scrotum. After a year inside the body, the article reads, the grafts were removed and analyzed in the laboratory. The results are published in a preprint paper which is yet to be peer-reviewed. 2 of the grafts from inside the testicle had produced mature sperm, which was collected and frozen. Because the tissue fragments are not directly connected to the sperm duct, the researchers do not expect sperm cells to naturally find their way into the semen. The article goes on to say, quote, the sperm that was isolated looked normal, said Goosens. We still have to see whether it's able to fertilize an egg. So much more heavy lifting to do, but of course, very, very positive development here. Professor Rod Mitchell, a pediatric endocrinologist, is running a similar trial at the Center for Reproductive Health at the University of Edinburgh, which began banking testicular tissue in 2014, and together with colleagues in Oxford and London have samples cryopreserved for more than 1,000 UK patients in the UK. He said, quote, there is now proof of principle in humans that this approach is going to work, which is amazing. Mitchell expects his clinic to carry out the first transplants imminently. So a major development. Let me see if I can squeeze in a few more paragraphs from this Guardian article. It goes on to say, I always believed it would work, he said. If you freeze tissue and keep cells alive, then they should have the potential. You're putting the tissue back into the perfect environment to stimulate it. Scientifically and biologically, it makes sense. In reality, it's still amazing. More than 3,000 patients worldwide already have testicular tissue banked. In the UK, it is estimated that about 200 patients each year would be likely to benefit. Mitchell added, we're at a point where internationally we've been working on this for 15 years, in some cases more. It's all been about collecting tissue from the boys. Now it's coming to fruition. We're all super excited about this. We know that we're not necessarily reaching all of them. The first patient is considering whether to undergo a second round of grafts with the aim of collecting more sperm, or whether to proceed with IVF in the near future. And that's, I think, the end of the article there by The Guardian on this particular issue. Or let me see. Yeah. I think that's the end of it. Of course, an interesting development there. And of course, we continue to watch what the scientific community will continue to do on this. But in a groundbreaking fertility trial, a man whose testicular tissue was frozen before he underwent chemotherapy as a child to be retransplanted 16 years later has been able to produce sperm. So interesting development there, and we continue to watch that one for you. All right, that's where we have to leave this evening's edition of Nationwide at 5, though. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey. Thanks to our technical operator, the man behind the controls, our pilot Andrew Glenn Anderson. Do I just accept, folks? That's his full government, Andrew and Glenn together. Thanks to all the hardworking members of the news and production team, led by our editor, Cara Poyle. I'm Tyron Reed saying, have a good evening.
For all your electrical needs,